everybody, welcome to my channel for a new battle report. So yeah, I had a tournament scheduled for the end of January, and before that we had a practice game with my buddy and usual gaming partner Leashmeister and his beloved Vampire Covenant. I played the following list, a couple of changes since last year. I wanted to try a couple of things that were attractive to me after the new update. For example, Tusker Cavalry getting a discount, Bombardier additional model getting a discount, this type of stuff I wanted to try. So I went with the following list. I definitely wanted to play Thaumaturgy again after a year playing Shamanism. I missed really the damage that Thaumaturgy can provide. I really love this lore and definitely missed it. So I put Thaumaturgy. Same thought process as I did last year with Shamanism. Having Rod of Battle just gave me the opportunity to have an additional buff, because in the games where I expect to have more combat, a lot of combat basically, I will just be able to pick Hereditary, Smite the Unbeliever and Rod of Battle, plus possibly the Breast Weapon, instead of not the Rod of Battle, which would be a boost less. And this is sometimes, like I said last year, Rod of Battle is a good way to increase the damage output of the Ogre can. So I really love it, and I'm happy that they increase the range of it, because I think I was one of the few that were playing it in the last year, so it might be more popular, but really love this item. Then I put a Mammoth Hunter. Happy to play again with Mammoth Hunter. I just love these cowboys. They are really cool to play. Yeah, I love the possibilities they bring on the table, but they are quite expensive, as you can see, 400 points. So I just gave him 2-up 5-up Spine Splitter with Vanguard. I think a very solid build. Then we have a Khan BSB with the 4 poison shot and the cult leader. Gave BSB 18 because I wanted to play a bit more MSU-ish. That's what I played last year, which is not difficult because I was very blocky. The old list that I played last year at ETC was very blocky. So this one might be more interesting to play, give me more possibilities, but then I needed also an increased leadership bubble. And since the points are more split and my character, as you can see, are not at all kitted to fight, they are not supposed to fight much, I'm going to put them in a bunker of tribesmen with Banner of Discipline, and basically I didn't pay any item for them to fight. So that's the idea. I was a bit looking to, first of all, not play the Great Khan because it reduced the number of units that I have at the table. And then to make sure my character are not in trouble, I thought that was a bit a problem when you fight 2 fighting character or 2 good monsters or stuff like that, or you get combo charge. Basically, when you commit your main blocks, which are Bruiser or in the old version also Mercenaries, you also put the character in danger. And I had some bad experience where, when the dice turn bad, because combat is combat, it's always unexpected stuff happen, then basically you just lose a whole unit plus your magic plus general. You just lose a third of your points, which was for me a big issue. So I wanted to split a bit more my points around the army and the eggs overall to make sure that my BSB and Shaman can survive as long as possible. My core is 9 Bruiser with the Swift Stride banner, 4 Tribesmen with Discipline, 3 Tribesmen with Champion. Then I wanted to have a go at the big unit of Tusker Cavalry with the Ginget banner. Cost is attractive again, love the charge range, 8 Swift Stride, and I wanted to try to see what I can do again with this unit. I played it a lot in the past, but that was already a couple of years ago. Maybe some of the followers of my French channel remember about that, but that's really old. I played this 4-man unit with the Ginget banner, have some good memories of the unit, so I was really happy to try that again. Lone Tiger, Cannon. For me, it's auto-include in my Ogre Can list. Just love the way it impacts the playing of single model character monsters. 2x4 Bombardiers. Wanted to try to have a bit of shooting, also to protect me a little bit against glass cannon unit. For example, like Dread Elves, infantry that can strike hard and before me. And since I don't play the Frost Mammoth anymore, I needed some shooting and range damage to basically be able to manage this type of unit before they go in combat, because if they go before me, they could just murder unit like Bruiser or Tusker Cav. And then double Giant. So basically I have 3 single model. I love the fact that Giants with Giant Club and Iron Fist are pretty cheap, meaning expendable, they move well, they are annoying. So I have 3 single models that can move on the flank, operate on the flank, be very, they can be alone, no problem about that. And then I have 2 main block and a couple of expendable units where I can put my character, use them possibly as chaff if needed too. My opponent was playing the following list, so it's an evolution of the list that he played at Interregio with a lot of success. Basically a huge magical setup with double master, evocation, alchemy, 32 ghouls, 22 skeleton with legend standard that will include the coat of the damned. Then he has 20 zombies with a cadaver wagon in it, 8 ghast, 5 baronite to add another scoring, 4 reapers with spell weapons, 7 spawn with a champion, 8 dogs and 2 bats. So 2 pieces of chaff, and then you have 3 combat block between the ghast skellies with the coat and the ghouls, and 2 flying units that can provide very good counter chargers. So I thought, we designed the list together, so I know that the list is really good. We played the counter trust and sacred target, and here my spell selection. So I took as many buff as possible, basically with Smite, Breath, Hereditary Rod, and then I picked the Wrath of God as a good way to put a bit of threat. It's always scary, despite the fact that his army is not too sensitive to wrath. I thought I can put some pressure, maybe kill a number of models before the combat. It's always a good spell to have, and it's also very expensive to cast, meaning I have something to do with my dice from range. So I think it wasn't bad choice. I had nothing better to select because it's almost immune to, he has no single models, and End of Even doesn't do much against his army, so I prefer to take Wrath of God basically. And here's his spell selection. So what we can notice, he has double instance of reroll to wound, which is huge with his army, 1-time reroll to hit, and then couple of blasts to complete that, and double raise plus the creation of a new unit. So very, very strong magical setup, especially in combat. Matchup analysis. So I think regarding sacred target, we like them close to each other. He has more block than me, but in 1 versus 1, I think Bruiser should be better to spawn, for example, if I charge and get some buff. It's very depending on the charge. The same goes for Tusker. They should be better than most. Even the Wind Reaper, we made some stat. Even the Wind Reaper, I should do well against them. So yeah, I definitely have some good answer in a 1-1 situation, but I have to be careful and to get the charge, which is something that Ogres like because we have impacted, and I can buff and be in control. He has a very strong buff magic, so as always, when you get charged, you have no control of the situation because you don't know what buff he might get, so I need to be careful of that. Try to kill the chaff to ensure that my fast unit, e.g. Bruiser and Tusker, can zone him well. Bruiser, I know I have bad experience against ghouls, so I need to be very careful with Bruiser against ghoul, ghast possibly too, because they go before me and they strike hard. Estimation, still a slight win because I have stuff that can be annoying for him in the flank. My blocks are still pretty good. I have some range, try to deal with the chaff, but yeah, especially I think the 3 mobile single model are the most annoying for him. And training, so you need to keep in mind that that's something I also try to do a bit more, but in training usually try to test the match a bit more, to open the game slightly more. So it doesn't mean that we take huge risk, but definitely slightly more risk than what I would do, for example, at an ETC level or big competition sometimes. So here it's also the purpose of training to really test the matchup, test the combat, and see what happened, but still with good risk management and not do just something stupid and throw dice. That's not the idea. So here we have deployment. I won the roll for side, which isn't too important because we have more or less the same. Impassable here, ruin in the middle, hill in the middle, and then I just have some covering train that I thought might be useful for him to cover against my shooting, so I took this part of the board. And obviously decided to start to deploy. I put a long conga line of wolves, where I answered, I guess, with a giant, or maybe, no, I answered with bombardier on the right. Then he puts another unit towards the center. I put my giant on the left, try to create space to push him back. And then I think I put some barrow guards. I put something down the center, like a small unit of tribesmen, and then he decided to drop everything for first turn. So on the far left, he has his Ring Reaper, then he has the ghouls, the unit with Cadaver Wagon, and both character will go in this unit as well. Ghast, the court within the Skellies, Barrow Knights, that can use Ghost Step to go through, very well done from him, and then the Geist looking backwards to not getting Frenzy Bait. I try to take advantage from the fact that Vargheists were looking backwards and he has nothing else covering this right part of the board to push a bit with my Hunter, so I vanguarded him forward. I put my cannon on the far right to have a good line of sight at the court if I wanted to. Some bombardiers to shoot at Vargheists at the spawn is always good. Then we have the Bruiser block, my bunker with 2 mages, so Tribesman block, Tribesman dart, another Bruiser, Giant towards the center, and then my Tusker slightly to the left to basically try to zone this unit, because he has more combat unit than me, so I can't do everything, so I need to make sure that my 2 main unit can zone multiple of his unit, and that my single model are just causing him trouble. On his turn 1, so basically, yeah, he goes very aggro, it chaffs me turn 1, push max with a Ridge Reaper to try to maybe go in combat with me, and then move his unit, just around, push them slightly backwards to avoid me getting a charge, but he still doesn't want to get Frenzy Bait at this point of time, so he looks still back and turns around the court to blast me with magic. And during magic phase, he will get a creation of zombies just where you see it, behind the hill, which is a good spot for him because then he can just march forward. He will get Quicksilver Lash despite me using one more dice than him, but I pass 2 ward save, so I get nothing, fortunately for me. Then let's move on to my turn 1. So I charge with a Tribesman dart in the flank of the chaff, just move backwards with my Tusker. I wasn't sure if I was able to get this to take this charge. I just made sure that I moved 2 giants out of line of sight, and in case he charged me, I have the giant that can charge on the back. Afterwards, we made the calculation, and yeah, it's a lot depending on the buffs. But with no buff, if he charges me, he doesn't kill 2 models, he kills only 1, and then in return, I do more wounds than him, and I should be fine. But yeah, I didn't want to take too much risk so early in the game, so I just moved back and started to move towards the side with giants to be out of his line of sight. The rest, I attempted the charge. I had a charge with my Hunter on the flank of this unit, out of line of sight of the Ghast on the 8. I thought it's early to take a charge in the middle of his line, but that might just put pressure, force him to react, because what can he do after that? He can charge me with the court, but then he's great danger to get in counter charge with Bruiser, and I think I'm fine with a full Bruiser against the court. Obviously there is the problem of them, but still I have time to prepare stuff for them. So I wanted to try that, but I failed my charge on 8 Swift Ride. And then with shooting, I will kill a ghoul, 2 couple of wounds here, but not too much, like 2 wounds. And close combat, I just kill him and reform. I also got a Smite the Unbeliever on the Ridge Reaper, just in case he wanted to try to charge. His turn 2, obviously didn't take the risk, I just moved them back to cover my giant trying to go around his line to threaten his bunker. Move forward with the Ghast and also the Chaff piece to try to block me, but he couldn't block me from charging towards the right. And he decided to turn around to threaten me with his spawn, but basically leaving me a charge on an 11 Swift Ride with my unit of Bruiser. Other than that, I prepared the chaff, stayed behind the wall to avoid getting shot and then be able to chaff later on. And the rest, yeah, that was it more or less. In his magic phase, he got... just checking, Silver Spike on my Hunter, but didn't wound. Luckily for me, I dispelled Quicksilver Lash, so didn't do much again. On my turn 2, I took 1 charge. My Bruiser block wanted to get rid of his chaff, and I used my Tribesman dart to chaff the Ghast towards the left, because I didn't want them to charge my bunker or bombardier or stuff. I repositioned them slightly more to the right to be able to charge him. reposition the giant as well to support, and then this giant passes his march check. Basically his plan was, if I fail the march check, he can charge me, but if I would have failed, I would have just positioned myself a bit further back to force him to charge me. I can always either flee or just be ready to counter charge him afterwards. But I passed my march check, so I move around. With all the DTs that I took, 6 in total, I lose 1 wound, which is pretty normal. And then I move my hunter, so I created a situation where he can charge with the spawn against my bruiser block or them, but he's frenzy bait, and then I can just them, they would flee basically, and if he charged the bruiser, I would be happy to take it and then counter charge afterwards. Obviously I would lose a couple of model, but in exchange I think I get rid of them, which is something quite important on the right side of the board. My magic phase, I got hereditary off on the bruiser, tried to protect them. I failed Wrath of God. Bombardier did nothing, and then the cannon did 2 wounds to the spawn, I guess yeah, to the spawn I did like 2 or no, sorry, he already lost 2 wounds, and I did a full 1 plus another wound, so quite happy. He has 2 spawn less to go in combat. His turn 3, he failed frenzy, and he made the mistake to charge them instead of charging directly in the bruiser, because he wanted to charge the bruiser, and then he failed the redirect check and just failed charge, which is, yeah, a bit annoying for him. Moved the bow knights towards the side to be ready to counter charge me, depending what I do. Charge my chaff with the ghast. And other than that, just, yeah, move them to have some good counters, but at the same time chaff my giant to avoid me getting into the flank of any of the big block. Move the court forward to threaten me a little bit, and yeah, that was it. In the magic phase, also which was huge, he passes a march check with the bats. It was a check, I think, on the 6th, and he passes that to try to chaff or at least minimize the amount of impact I might do on the charge. And this is quite huge, him doing that, because I was looking forward to create some opening with them, but yeah, now it will be a bit complicated. So the march check was quite important. His magic phase, he got... what did he get? He raised a couple of spawn, he got reroll to wound on the spawn as well, and he tried to lash and did 2 wounds to my Tusker. So yeah, good magic phase, solid magic phase for him. He has a very good combination with 2 master of boost, raise and range damage, which is sometimes hard to manage. Let me check, we had no... Yeah, in combat, that's quite important. He killed 2 models, I did nothing in return, I break, but he failed to restrain. That's a problem of his list. He has, when he plays aggressive, he has no BSB, so all this check with non-rerollable 7 are, yeah, sometimes it goes well, sometimes not. So he just stumbles forward, and I see an opportunity for me, which was to use the position of the bats to double charge him to block the reform and say, this is a big traffic jam, you cannot support the combat, and basically the ghasts are blocked. That's my idea. The only counter charge that he has is the unit of the bunker with the mage, so he will never go into this combat, and the ghouls cannot counter charge at the moment. So that was my idea. Here I double charge obviously with the hunter plus the bruiser. I wanted to get rid of the spawn, and my giant passes another march check to threaten the back of the ghouls and the bunker as well. Other than that, I rallied my bombardier, rallied this guy as well. Yeah, BSB 18 is very useful for that. And move my giant. I didn't do much with my giant, just move a little bit to control what he might do with the Range Reaper or maybe the ghouls. If I need an additional chaff or anything, I can always use my giant. In my magic phase, and also what I checked is the fact that at the moment, even with them moving, there is no way the ghouls can contact my Tusker at the moment. That's something I check. So Binding Scroll, Smite the Unbeliever, but I was able to get a Wrath of God in the middle here, just threatening the advance of these 2 units, try to reduce them. Close combat, he kills a couple of my bruiser, but I kill him, I pop him, and I have like 6 models left, and turns around, or 5 models left maybe, turns around the hunter as well. I decided to look that way in case he decides to charge me. I will flee, then he needs to pass the redirect. And then below the gas combat, I didn't do much because I had only one model in contact. And then I completely forgot my initial ID, and I decided to reform 2x2 because I check he cannot countercharge me here, and I forgot the fact that he can see my giant with them and charge out. So this happened, which is a problem. So basically what he did is he charged with the ghoul against the lone guy here. I decided to flee to make him check on a 7 or reroll for the redirect charge against the Tusker. He passes the check, and then he needed another 7+ to get into my flank, and he got that. So yeah, slightly annoying for me. The 2 bats charge out of the way before against the giant. This will give me a free pivot, but I'm likely to be in big trouble with my Tusker. Then we have the Baronite that charge my Hunter. I decided to flee that charge. He passes the redirect check and charge the flank of them. I decided to give them a flank because basically I didn't want him to be able to just, if my bruiser didn't look at that, he could march out of my line of sight. That would be problematic. I don't know if there was possibly a way to be in the front and still have a look at him. So I think here my reform wasn't optimal. I could have reformed slightly more, I see it now, in diagonal, to be able to see him if he marched forward and still have a front to the Baronite. So that wasn't too well done. So he gets to my flank with the Baronite. He gets to my flank, and here just reposition. As you can see, the Comet is here. Reposition them to be ready to countercharge after. Oh, and also, yeah, he failed this time the march check with the Range Reaper. And the charge, just so on my notes, it was a 9 Swift Stride with the cavalry to go in my flank. I Binding Scroll Spectral Blade because I will try to save them for next turn, because if I can save them, I get some countercharge, so I have still some options to be alive in this game. But unfortunately for me, with 4 dice against 5, he's able to get Glory of Gold on the ghouls. And like I like to say, when you do mistakes, you need to pay them heavily. So that's exactly what's happening now, basically. I think he got also some raise off, maybe? Don't know. At least he got Glory of Gold here. Close combat, no big surprise. He breaks them, and again, so first of all, I think he did, yeah, he needed to nudge because he killed a wall 2 model, so he nudged to the right, so he has no overrun here. I don't know if he did this combat first or after, but basically there was no overrun on the giant because he slided more towards the right to still be in base contact, and he caught me on the flee move, so I was Swift Stride, he was not, but still was able to catch me here. But if I killed the bats and looks toward the ghoul, and here this combat they break and didn't got run down. I think he let me flee and passes the redirect check. A Baronite, he did a lot of wounds to me, like he got some buffs off, I think reroll to hit on them, and did a lot of wounds to me. I still had 2 model left, kill 4 out of 5, just missed 1 to be to be free, unfortunately, and he had a charger flank, more combat result. I passed my steadfast check. My turn 4. Oh sorry, as you can see, the Ghast were still in, I passed the check, looks like I passed the check with my Bombardier against the Ghast, so I was still in base contact with them, which is not good. My giant charged the flank. Here I contemplated 2 options between charging the Ghast in the back or charging the bunker. I decided to put pressure on the bunker. I thought, and you can see the Comet kill a couple of ghouls and kill a couple of wounds to the Range Reaper as well. I just figured out, yeah, obviously he can countercharge me here, but basically has a choice to make. Either he goes south or he goes there. That just forced him to react. So the giant charge here. He was in combat. I rally my Hunter, and I decided to try to block them the best way I could. Wasn't done too smart. Basically, I put a dog close to the Ghast, try to block their reform or force them to take redirect check or stuff like that. Because he's likely to be free after he gets rid of the Bombardier. This guy was rallied already. Yeah, I rallied him this turn. Move forward, move to the way, to sideways with my bunker to be as far as possible from the Ghast. Move my cannon forward that broke last turn. and basically try to put some pressure with this small unit against the bunker and this unit, but yeah, it's kind of risky, but this unit is not worth a lot of points, so I decided it might be worth it since I'm in a bad spot at the moment. Magic wise, I got Hereditary on the Bruiser because I was expecting a charge, and I put also a breast weapon on the Hunter. The idea was you can charge the one that you want. I buff both to make none of the charge an easy choice for you. So that's what I got. Breast weapon was strength 5, which was nice. And then this giant just did a lot of casualties plus a lot of combat results, so he had only like a couples left after combat. Here as well I did a lot against zombies and he crumbled a bit more, but was still alive with enough. And here I just killed the cavalry and reform. He's turn 5, so things get interesting. Obviously he charged, so what I did wrong, I was just out of 12 with my shame and I completely forgot about the leadership stuff. So they broke from combat, flee. He needed to pass a check on 5 rollable, obviously failed, meaning he has an easy charge with them against my tribesmen. So I was, flee would have been even worth, I guess, because if he charged me here, could have had, I don't know, maybe, I think if he charged first with the court, could have fled that one, maybe. Then what can he do? Yeah, maybe I could have fled this charge because sticking serves no purpose, so I should have maybe fled here, don't know. Center, I might have ended up here, maybe I can rally and then score last turn. Yeah, would have been better, I guess, to just flee that one. But he countercharged with the Wind Reaper against my giant. Here we still combat, and here I charges with the court against my 3 remaining bruiser, which is not much. Magic, I dispelled a big heal. He wanted to heal everybody, so I dispelled that one. He was able to heal the zombies to protect him from fluffing with them and from crumbling. What else? And then he got also reroll to wound on the Wind Reaper, so yeah, this is 2 spells that hurts. He did like 3 or 4 wounds to my giant, 4 wounds I guess, but I'm still alive, and I did another couple of wounds to the bunker, but he lose like by 1, so not much. He was okay, and I was lucky he didn't do that. He has like 6 attack, strength 5, and then a lot of strength 3 attack, and I had Children of Umi. He did some wounds. I lost by 4, I guess. I didn't roll that well my 10 attacks and stomps, and I kill not much, and I lose by 4. I had 4 rollable that I passed, so very lucky here. Here, no problem, I break and I flee. He decided to restrain, pass the restraint check, so easy for him. My turn 5, and my giant got rid of the ghouls. My turn 5, I decided to attempt some long charges to block the ghast. I tried to charge with my giant, but failed that on a 10, I guess. Rally the lone guy, counter charge with both the cannon and the hunter, but I failed like I needed like a 4 or 5 on the dice, and I failed that one, which was a bit unfortunate for me. A 5 I needed on the dice, and I rolled a 4, so yeah, would have been nice to just make sure I can get rid of them in one go, but yeah, I failed that one. I failed to rally both. Bombardier goes off the board, and here we still in combat here as well. As you can see, he didn't do much to me. I still have 3 models alive, so he did like 2 wounds, but he had a lot of static res and I didn't do well. So yeah, I was very fortunate here. Magic phase, what happened? Not much. I think I got another Hereditary on them. And that was it. And then close combat, I killed a lot, but I think he crumbled to a man. Did some other wounds to my bruiser block. And then, yeah, I forgot to mention, but the way I positioned the dog is to avoid him getting a free charge against the hunter. Basically, if he charges me, I can flee. He has to take a redirect check, or if I decide not to flee, he can charge me. Then he has a middle-ish overrun against the cannon, which is a bit annoying, but nothing I can do against that. But I wanted to force him to have some check, non-rerollable. And here I kill my giant this time. He's turn 6. Attempted double 6 charge against the lone guy. Charge against the giant. Yeah, he charged the giant. I flee. And maybe attempted like a double 6 on him. Not sure about that. and then he charges. My dog decided to flee because the overrun was blocking me from scoring secondary, so I just flee with the dog. He passes the redirect check and charges the flank of the hunter. That still should be okay, I guess. His magic, he tried to put Silver Spike against my lone guy that will be scoring the center. I dispelled that, but he got reroll to wound on the Ghast. Close combat, he did like 1 wound to me. I did another wound or 2 to the court, a couple of wounds to the Ghast, and basically we stick here. My turn 6, I think it was a tie combat at the end. My turn 6, I decided to go for it. We'll see if it was a good idea or not. So I charged with the cannon, charged with my bunker of bombardier against the 4 remaining Ghast. Rally the dog, rally the giant, move here to score. So basically here I'm within the scoring zone. Here I have 1 guy remaining. Unfortunately I wasn't able to kill it, so I was 1 guy remaining to try to score secondary. So we'll see what happened. I got +1 to hit and hereditary on my bombardier block, so I was feeling okay. But then, basically with the court, he was striking me on a 3-up with the reroll to hit, reroll to wound, Ghast. So he just killed my mage outright and got 700 something points easily. And I killed this in return. He killed my bruiser before, and here we stick. It was just a draw. So it ended up being an 11 tonight, and thanks to the secondary, because I got it here on the right. He has no scoring anymore, and I have 1 here, and here we tie up this one on the left. So basically I'm saved by secondary because I was down by approximately 850 points. So yeah, a very bloody game with a lot of small mistakes, as you saw. Post-game analysis, try to sum it up what I already said quite a lot, but regarding deployment, I was quite happy about the starting positioning. I don't think the giant in the center was important to try to add some strengths on my center, and then I move him out of line of sight to the left, which I don't know if it was I don't think it was a very good idea because it just made my center weaker. And overall, I was happy to play second. Giant forced his Wind Reaper to cover the left flank because he tried to be quite aggressive. So this is an approach definitely for him. We discussed that after the game. It's hard to play this approach against my list for him. He tried to play it a bit more aggressive than what he's used to. Also, he was forced by the fact that I have some shooting that can get rid of the chaff. He wanted to be able to use his chaff and put some pressure. So he tried that. It was very interesting to try that in training, I guess. Micro. So yeah, I need to be more careful about the possible turn 1 aggression with chaff. Here in this case, I'm not sure charging the Wind Reaper against the Tusker would have been good for him. But I'm not sure I want to take the risk of that charge, basically. Yeah, trying to clip the Ghast in the corner was a bad idea for the Tusker because they were never going to do a lot of damage. And as you can see, he has so many units around. Even if I block him this turn, a turn after or the turn after, he will going. At some points, he will be able to get the counter charge off, and I will be in trouble. That's going to happen. I'm never going to get rid of the Ghast. So I think that was the bad decision overall, was to take this charge that looked very tasty on paper. You say, oh, I can clip you here and charge the flank. You cannot reform, you cannot strike, but the output is not the issue with the Ghast. It's the fact that they're very resilient. They can survive very long. So definitely that was a bad idea. Unholy Appetite, when as you saw with Ghast, when he starts to trigger Unholy Appetite, then it just combat after combat after combat is all the time reroll to hit with poison. It's just very, very strong. Some lucky moment for both. For him, a lot of redirection or restraint check on the 7. The charge of the ghoul was very important as well. For me, it was definitely the 4 rerollable that I passed with my bruiser. Charging the Ghast turn 6 make absolutely no sense because he already reformed to the flank. To avoid this charge, I just had to reform, get to secondary, and I would have saved 700 points and claim a 13-7 victory, which is much, much better. BSB 18, love that. And I need to ensure that my Tusker, I need to be careful about them to ensure that when they engage and can strike almost all of them. It's a wide base, so it can be sometimes good because of overrun that it creates, stuff like that, but I need to take that into account because it can be easy for my opponent to chaff me. Yeah, and for my opponent, like we said, the fact that he tried to play aggressive showed also the limit of his list, the fact that is relying quite a lot on a non-rerollable check to be able to play aggressive, and that's a bit of an issue. That's why this list is more designed to be quite defensive, solid, take hard matchup. It's very hard to break this VC list, but it's hard to be very aggressive with the list without having relying on non-rerollable this low discipline check, basically for chaffing with the bats, restraining and stuff like that. Okay, that was it, guys, for this training. So very interesting battle to play. As you saw, there were tons of possibilities during this battle. I made a lot of mistakes, but learned a lot about the list and the units, so that was very important. Thanks a lot for watching, and talk to you soon on my channel. Bye bye.